Good morning. This morning what I'm going to talk about is credit rating agencies. And I try to understand what's happening to the rating agencies based on a simple model of unobservable effort, and try to think about the ways to improve the current situation if there is any problems. So these are contents that I will present today. So first, I briefly go over the background, then I introduce the simple benchmark models. Then I'm gonna make some comments on the issues, and I conclude with some remarks on policy and extensions. So as you may know, the credit rating agencies play an important role in capital markets where it is difficult to gather and process information. That is, the rating information is really valuable to investors who have limited information and who cannot evaluate the credit risk as efficiently as the rating agencies. And considering the empirical evidence showing that the rating announcement have an impact not only on bond price but also on stock price, the rating agencies influence the allocation in the capital markets, and some financial regulations are based on the credit ratings, and presumably the market reactions and the rating-based regulation assumes the prudent role of the rating agencies as gatekeepers. However, the past events such as the East Asian crisis and corporate scandals in US, and most importantly recent financial crisis, cast doubts on the role of the credit rating agencies and the accuracy of the ratings. So some commentators criticize the rating agencies as gate openers, not as gatekeepers. So what happened to the rating agencies? So the most commonly cited reasons for the conflict of interest within the rating agency is as follows. The issuers pay model rather than investors pay model, and the duration of the relationship between the rating firms and the client firms, and the provision of ancillary services such as consulting or risk management advisory services that might be related to rating. In the case, the rating may be biased. And the opening the market to the new players, like allowing new entrants into the rating industry, does not solve this problem because there might be a problem of rating shopping and the resulting rating inflation. And legally, the rating agencies are different from other gatekeepers in that they are almost immune from liability for the misstatement or wrong rating decisions. So probably that immunity from liability weakens the accountability of the rating agencies, so they might be reflected in the rating decisions. So in the following, I will introduce very simple toy model to discuss some of the issues that I mentioned here. Specifically, what I'm going to do is to consider a model of unobservable effort with costly signal extraction technology. In doing so, I hope to complement the previous literature on credit ratings, which analyze the issues of rating inflation and shopping, or the reputation concern as self-disciplinary mechanism and some sort of regulation. So as far as I know, moral hazard type of model in credit rating is very few. So I hope that my work could complement the previous work, which are mainly discussed in the context of the the information disclosure framework. So here is a model, which is very simple. So I have three types of players: a firm and potentially large number of investors, and a rating agency. And the firm has an investment project which needs the I dollars of external financing because firm is cash constrained. So unless the external financing is made, the firm cannot do the investment project. And the investor provides fund for the project, and I assume I normalize the required rate of return for the investor to be 0. And the possibly monopoly rating agency provide information on of the credit rating. And I assume that all players are risk neutral. And the firm has an access to investment project, which might be good with probability P, and which might be bad with probability 1 minus P. And the investment project is characterized by the default probability. The bad project defaults with positive probability with D, and the good project never fails. And in case of success, both projects gives the same return R. And I assume that the good project, the net present value of the good project is positive, and the net present value of the bad project is negative. So the ex-ante value of the investment, in the absence of any credit rating services, can be expressed as in the slide. And in the absence of the rating services, financing is made if and only if the value of the investment exceeds the cost of investment. So if no one knows which one is good or which one is bad, then there is a role for the credit rating agencies. And the agencies can distinguish the good project from bad project through a costly signal extraction technology. So that is that the rating agency evaluates the prospects of investment project and receives a signal about the type of the project. So for simplicity, the signal is assumed to be perfectly accurate when the state is good, while it may be inaccurate when the state is bad. So this is just for simplicity. The result does not change in a more general setting where I allow some imperfect signal in good state too. And anyway, the formulation assumes that the accuracy of signal depends on the rating agency's effort, E. So you can think of an effort as information gathering activities and the coverage of the rated firms and so on. So the higher the E, the more precise the signal is. However, the better quality of the signal comes at a cost. So when making an effort, the rating agency incurs cost C. There is continuous increasing and convex in D with some technical conditions. So we assume that the effort is not contractible, otherwise the problem becomes so trivial. And I consider the rating fees as transaction-based fees, which is determined by the division of the surplus from proceeding the investment project with the bargaining power, alpha in 1 minus alpha, where alpha is the bargaining power of the rating agencies. I hope this is not so unreasonable or unrealistic, considering that the issuers discuss the level of fees with the rating agencies, as the quotation says. So after retrieving the signal, the rating agencies makes a credit rating report. Then the firm decides whether to make it public or not. If the firm decides to make the report public, then the firm pays fee to the rating agencies, and investors update their post-year belief using the base rule. So the timeline of the game is just as I mentioned. So I skip this. And in equilibrium, the rating agency truthfully discloses the retrieved signal, and the investor provides funding only to good rating firms. So then I can calculate the value of credit ratings, net of the cost of effort, the credit rating agency's effort. So this expression shows that the rating agents might be beneficial in two respects. In the first line is a case where the funding is possible even in the absence of rating agents, but the rating agency provide a better opportunity for the issuer in the sense that the face value of debt is going to be lower with the rating agencies. And the second case is where the funding is impossible in the absence of rating agencies, and so the rating agencies provide more investment opportunities. So the first best level is determined by the relations 1, which shows that the F level is determined at a point where the cost due to the misallocation of investment is equal to the cost of more precise signal. However, in the second best level, in the second best case, distortion appears. That is, unless the rating agency appropriates its marginal contributions to the economy, inefficiency is inevitable. Here I have a rating inflation even if there is no rating shopping. The purely moral hazard problem derives the rating inflation in the sense that the bad firms get good credit ratings. So, and if we measure the rating inflation by 1 minus effort, then the inflation becomes more serious when P is high. That is, when things are going well, more bad firms are getting good rating. So even if there is no information disclosure problem or non-rate shopping, so I have a rating inflation in the presence of moral hazard problem. And this problem is going to be worsened when the rating agents provide ancillary services. So this can be shown in the slide. And the provision of ancillary services are problematic, especially when these services are related to rating. So the incorporating the ancillary services related to rating into the model confirms this, and you can see that the revenue comes from two parts, and the distortion due to the ancillary services become larger as the revenue from those services gets bigger. So considering that the rating agencies provide advisory services in rating structured product, and also considering that the revenue from the structured product is increasing in these days, the problem becomes more serious. In other words, this is more pronounced with structured product, as the sum of the quotation says, which is in the main text. And some propose that the prohibition of ancillary services provided by the rating agencies. Of course, I mean, I agree with at that point. I agree to the point, but of course there might be a welfare gain from economies of scope in providing various services by a single intermediary. But actually, that was shown by the Professor Prexias in 2007. But nevertheless, unless gains from economies of scope dominates the cost due to the poor credit rating, then it might be better to regulate ancillary activities that make things worse in the presence of a moral hazard problem. And so it is common belief that competition promotes the efficiency and we might have a better rating, better quality rating, but things are not going well in the model. In fact, there is no strong theoretical or empirical support for the role of competition in the rating industry. And this is also true for our model. I mean that unless the bargaining power of the rating agency is increasing in the degree of competition, the incentives for the rating firms is gonna be weaker on the more competitive environment. So simply opening the market to the new entrant does not guarantee the quality ratings. So I mean, we should be very careful about the increasing number of the players in the field. Then what about the reputation? And the prediction of the model is that the quality of rating is gonna be a decreasing function of the degree of competition, which is consistent with the empirical findings by Becker and Milburn. And there is an argument by practitioners saying that the reputational capital is providing really strong incentives for the rating agencies, so there is no problem, even if there is no regulation for the rating agencies. But in theory, this is not so sure, so which I'll not go into the detail because of time constraint. So both competition and reputation are not strong enough to discipline the rating agencies. If that is the case, then we might need regulatory intervention to discipline the rating agencies. So I can think of a simple inspection scheme, like regulator sets some standards and regulator inspects the rating agency in case of default, and assume that the regulator detects the rating agency is working with probability M. Then when detected, the firm is liable by the amount of L. Then I can set up the problem in the following way. So minimize the difference between the effort choice by the rating agencies and the effort standard, subject to incentive compatibility and individual rationality and limited liability. Then this problem is quite generous, so I consider just two simple cases. The scheme 1 looks like strict liability, and the scheme 2 looks like negligence rule, though not identical. And it seems that the scheme 1 is more stringent than scheme 2, but scheme 2 performs better than scheme 1, and both schemes improve upon the unregulated outcomes. So what I'm saying is that this scheme is this scheme is feasible and implementable, but what I'm saying is that we can think of the imposition of liability and some sort of regulatory oversight, and then with the help of the regulation, we can improve upon the current unregulated rating quality. So if I consider more general setup, which incorporated the cost of inspections and some cost of the endogenous detection probability, then the problem is going to be complicated. But But I'm thinking about the optimal regulatory structure in the presence of this cost. And the other thing I want to make is if the regulator can use the monetary sanction as well as non-monetary sanctions, like license disapproval, then the incentives may be better aligned with the social optimal choice. So we can think of the disapproval scheme in case of bad conduct of rating agencies. So we need some regulations on the rating agencies. So, and some regulations might be necessary in order to improve the rating quality, but I'm not saying that this is the only way to improve the situation. But this can be a candidate for the new regulation. Of course, I mean, my result is very preliminary, so this cannot be applied to directly to the real world. But nevertheless, I think that this could be a starting point for thinking about the regulation of the rating agencies in the presence of a moral hazard problem. And I hope to extend the simple model to give a further policy implication in research setup. Thank you.